Next up is a panel I am super excited about. Leaders from ABInBev, GoPuff, Applied Systems, Whisk.com, and Common Room are going to be talking about what it takes to build a diverse product team. The panel will be moderated by Amplitude Head of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion, Nikki Lastly. This is something every organization is thinking about, but it's especially critical for product teams. You know, building a product that will win the market is much harder if you don't have the people on your team that reflect your customer base. So please, guys, help me welcome this amazing group to the stage.
Hello, Amplify! I know it's late in the day, but you're going to push through. It's going to be a great session. This is one that is near and dear to my heart, one that is about making diverse and inclusive teams important to building quality products. Not just the products that we're building, but the products that you're building. In my time here at Amplitude, I've worked to build on the foundation that Spencer and team have built to really create an inclusive culture. We've created a strong community with 10 employee resource groups. Some are represented here. Any in the house? Mm-hmm. Any of you? I see you back there. We have. I invite you to go to our Diversity at Amplitude section in the expo hall to check out all 10 employee resource groups and take a pin or two home with you. I've got one on right here. We also recently launched our first ever DEI report, which you can find on our website. We know we have a lot of work to do, but we're committed, as much as these folks are, to doing the work. And I'm excited to introduce the panel today to talk about this effort. Let's start with you.
Cool. Excited to be here. My name's Kurt Williams. I work for ABInBev, which is the world's largest brewer. Hooray beer. That's not our slogan, but you know. Got some fans, great. I'm a director of marketplace there, focused on the selling of digital goods to our B2B retailer clients.
Awesome. My name is Karen Ng, and I'm the VP of Product and Data at a company called Common Room. What Common Room does is it's an intelligent community growth platform. It helps companies create and activate thriving communities in order to build better products, have happier customers, and drive business impact.
Hello, everyone. I'm Vijay Natarajan. I'm a Director of Product for Growth and Data at GoPuff. What GoPuff does is it's an instant needs fulfillment platform for everyday needs that we deliver to your door in 15 to 30 minutes. We operate out of 1,000 cities across US and EU. My role at GoPuff is to integrate the digital marketing CRM channels to drive newbie acquisition as well as retain our customers. Excited to be here.
Hi, I'm Queenie Kong, Head of Growth at Whisk.com. We're a mobile app and we aim to solve everyone's problem with cooking, from searching for recipes, saving recipe, meal planning, grocery shopping, to streamline the cooking process. So remember to download our app. And we've been part of Samsung since 2019.
Hi, everyone. I'm Jo Dockery. I'm Vice President of Product Operations at Applied Systems, which translates to the head zookeeper of a large product and development team at an insurance software company, which insurance software is not nearly as sexy as beer, but we think safety is sexy in Illinois, so that is what we do.
We need you too.
I know.
Well, let's get started. Let's start with you, Kurt. How do you go about finding, attracting, and hiring a diverse set of talent?
Cool. I hope I don't take too much liberty with my answer on this one, but ABI is incredibly blessed to have a very diverse employee base to begin with. It's kind of built into our DNA. We operate on a massive global scale in 50+ countries. And with that, we're like an important and attractive employer in a lot of these countries. So we attract some really great talent in diverse ways across the world. A lot of those talents tend to be more so in traditional roles, if you will, more sales, marketing, operations, things like that. So our focus when it comes to diversity, it's more so on the how do you integrate traditional profiles with new digital profiles? How do you make sure that those types of profiles can work really well together and you can maximize your people resources? And so in order to address that, we try and cross-pollinate as much as possible. We try to remove the veil of mystery of digital. We try and expose digital profiles to more of the commercial stuff so they learn that, and the commercial profiles to the digital so they get that as well. Over time, we try and move people across the line into new roles. I'm product by nature or by experience, and I've moved over to the commercial side of my career as well. And so that type of stuff is really important to us. I think when we look at the results of it, what we've found is that there's more empathy when we cross-pollinate and integrate in that way across the different groups. With that empathy, people know more and they learn more about the different areas. And those things together then raise the bar of like our expectations as an organization and what we can get out of all of our people together. So that's kind of how we approach diversity, just because our natural setup is very diverse.
Lucky duck, you.
Indeed.
Now, Karen, what about you? And what commitments have your companies made to ensure diversity is a priority?
So because we are a tool that actually helps people foster and create community, every community for every company, like our customers, Figma and Atlassian or Asana or HubSpot, they're all very different types of community. But community is a place of belonging and a place where people trust and want to come back to. So it's really important that you have, as we build that for other companies, that we have diverse perspectives in order to be able to build a tool to help you foster that. So for us, even as a small company, it's been really important to have diversity in our hiring process, be there from the very beginning. We're very structured about how we think about the top of the funnel. So top of the funnel, if we can increase more different types of diversity, our company is 40% diverse today from women and underrepresented groups. It means that we can have more across the funnel, and we're also very thoughtful about how we do the interview practice, trying to find talent in different ways. Take-home homework assignment, jamming with a designer, working on a problem together just allows us to bring in different types of talent and different types of people and how they learn. So it's a big commitment for us.
Great. Now, according to McKinsey, ethnically diverse companies are 35% more likely to outperform. Vijay, what have you seen diverse teams do to take advantage of this diversity in your company?
Yeah, for GoPuff, in a way, it is, again, easy because we serve diverse customers, and we are a consumer app. So we will need to, by definition, cater to a diverse set of customers. And so what is it that I got to have now in terms of instant needs, as you would imagine, is going to be very different based on the customer, where they come from, where they live, et cetera. So for us, in terms of the product innovation, it starts with how we design the product. So having a diverse product team, be it on UX design or the research that we do, and having a well-represented team is very important so that what we surface to customers in terms of products, the experience, is very catered to the diverse set of customers that we serve. On even the supplier side, we work with local communities, and we carry local brands, as well as national brands that everyone can recognize. So we have campaigns that run at local communities, which are minority-owned, which are a mom and pop. So we literally have brand ambassadors and local presence who work with those set of businesses to surface them into our app in a prominent way. So all of that requires us to basically bring a diverse set of folks from any function that you can imagine to bring the product and the experience together.
That's great. I love that, getting back into the community piece. Now, Queenie, we know that diverse teams make better decisions, but it can be also hard to get to consensus. How do you work on that?
It's a very interesting challenge for us because we are working with the Samsung HQ, which means from South Korea to Southeast Asia to part of our team is in Eastern Europe, Western Europe to across the US. So our problem with diversity is more with culture. So there are parts of the culture who think that giving direct feedback in public forum is very, very rude. There are also part of culture from a team who decide direct feedback is great, and it's better that you say to a person directly in public channel. And there are also people in between. So it's very important to uphold our company value in being candid and kind. So when we're actually thinking about reviewing product feedback and also thinking about making decisions, we have to be very candid with each other and also being very transparent and being very honest with each other and being kind. And that's very important for us to uphold to actually think outside of our cultural constraint per se.
Great. Well, Joe, do you have thoughts?
Yeah, I love that, candid and kind. That's just good advice for personal and professional, ways of thinking. Yeah, I think one thing it's really interesting with building diverse teams is it's one thing to take all the action and work really hard to hire a diverse team, but then it's a totally different beast to manage and lead and keep that diversity of thought and opinion, to feel that those people feel included and feel that they belong at your company and on your team. So 2 things come to mind on this question specifically. One, to answer around how you build consensus. To go back to what Pat was saying this morning and a couple other speakers have talked about is really keeping things simple. When you have a great group of diverse opinions, always remembering what you're solving for and what your goal is and what good looks like at the end. I really try to drive that personally in my meetings around, in product operations, our job is to make sure that product managers are able to do their job, and we serve with data and documentation and communication to allow our product teams to go innovate. So try to keep that simple. When we come to making a decision on things, we don't want to go around in circles too much. But then very much to what Queenie was saying, one thing that I find so simple but hard for people to do because people can get busy or just get lazy is to make sure that all of those opinions are heard, that they are physically in the room or in the Zoom room, that they are there, that you're conscious of time zones, that you're conscious of schedules. I personally have felt at a previous company, not at Applied, but I was the only female on a team, which is not entirely rare. But I'm also a working mom with 2 small boys. And my boss consistently had budget and headcount and feedback meetings on that at 6:30 on Tuesday and Thursday evenings, where I had already gone to my daycare to pick up my boys. I was already trying to figure out what they weren't going to eat for dinner. And that's just really, I was entirely, the one lone female in the group was entirely left out of a consensus, important, regular meetings because of what I thought I brought to the table too. And so I just find that that's personal. You have to get to know your teams to understand what they're going through and what schedules work for them outside of just time zones. And then when you get the people in the room or in the Zoom room, making sure that you bring out their opinions and their thoughts based on some of the reasons you hired them, based on their experience, based on whether it could be their tenure at the company. At Applied, we're a 40-year-old software company. We've got folks that have been there for 30 years. So how do we make sure that their opinions are just as important as the new folks that are coming in with a ton of energy and great new ideas on how to make change and how to go through our digital transformation? So making sure that when we do get that consensus, that it does come from a wide variety of opinions of folks that feel that they belong at that table and can give their opinion.
I love that, and that notion of who's not in the room and being thoughtful and really just taking a beat and looking around the room and saying, who's not here?
Yep.
And then when the folks are there, making sure that everyone has a chance to speak is really key.
Yeah.
Okay, we have one last question. We know that building diverse teams requires discovery, feedback, investment, all of which you've spoken to. How do you go about championing this at your company? And what's one thing that you would recommend to these folks here that they could do to really focus on diversity on their product teams?
Do I get to start even though I'm in the
Yes,
last chair?
let's
I'd
start
love
with
that.
you,
Okay, good. Well, first, recommendations for an all-day conference, comfortable shoes and stretchy pants. I would write that down as we get back to in-person conferences and learn that the hard way. As far as diversity, again, this is simple, but show up. It's one thing to put something on a PowerPoint slide or in an email or talk about it as a defining objective for your company. It's an entirely different thing to actually get involved and to show up for the community groups of interest, or to ensure the right people are in the room, and to speak up when they're not in the room. And make sure you get yourself into, something as big as maybe equal pay budget conversations, or something that happened just last week at Applied. Our chief technology officer, also chief product officer, he showed up for a big town hall that I was hosting in a bright pink Women in Technology t-shirt, showing that to everybody, and then talked about what the Women in Technology group was doing that month, as well as gave some time to one of our female leaders that was doing a speech on our Asian American and Pacific Islander Awareness Month. So that to me goes a really long way, and I look at that as just showing up. It's so much more than words and PowerPoints or Confluence pages, really taking the time to show interest and getting to know people and asking how you can help. Is a big one.
Yes, representation matters,
It
but
does.
also allyship matters. So don't forget, you too can be an ally. Queenie?
If I kind of piggyback on what Joe mentioned earlier, I think it's so important to continuously solicit anonymous feedback, and having the leadership being the champion to get everybody's feedback and knowing that their voice is heard. And then also afterwards, also thinking about the employees almost like our users, to observe the behavior constantly. That have we actually committed to the transparency, the candidness that actually have been enacting, or is there some gaping hole that we're missing? That we said that we're allowing a diverse lifestyle and diverse mode of communication in whatever intensity they want. Or are we following through that, or because part of the leadership team prefers to have constant email communication or Zoom, that we're actually just didn't follow the accountability that we should have for the team? I think that's very, very important too.
Yeah, those are great ideas. So I would add, have a senior respected leader in the company act as your diversity champion. So that goes a long way. When you have someone in a senior position carry that role on top of the day-to-day responsibilities, it adds automatic emphasis and importance to it. And you also see people start talking about it. And you cannot have a diverse team if you cannot recruit a diverse team. So as hiring managers, leaders, will have to reach out to underrepresented communities or diverse communities, get trained on that, get part of the recruiting. We ensure that also we have a diverse recruiting panel, so that it starts right there in terms of, you show up as a company what you believe in to your potential, future employees. So that's really important. Get unconscious bias training. I mean, they always, it's amazing. Every time I go through the training in a different company, I learn something new. So I don't think you can ever be fully trained on those things for sure. And live it on a day-to-day basis, be it, ensuring that everyone is included in meetings. Think about the time zones. Also, diverse set of folks also, show up differently. So be cognizant of that. So there are some who are good speakers, there are good writers, right? Make sure that everyone has a forum or channel where they can, share their ideas, and make sure that's included, be it online when you're meeting or offline when you're following up afterwards. So there are so many ways that you could ensure that everyone feels that sense of belonging regardless of where they come from.
Cool. Yeah, we talked about hiring a lot too, but I think the most important thing is often thinking about how to create that right environment that is about retention or living out what we believe. And so I think being intentional about creating space for allies. I ran Microsoft's college hiring for about 4 years, and I was also at Google before Common Room. And one of the things that was really important is if you put a new college hire, female college hire, in a team that doesn't have any, we saw 100% churn. But they didn't even need to be friends. But as long as you had people of at least one other, the retention was higher. So think about just naturally creating allyships. And then the other thing many of them shared is psychological safety is so key to creating and retaining diverse teams. If you can't share what you are about, or don't have that voice, or don't draw out that voice, it's really hard to actually live it and say it. So for me, I always thought it wasn't about bringing 100% of yourself to work, but just sharing, how I react or how I feel to world events that were happening, or where I'm going to vacation. It just created space for other people to share where they're going to vacation. So you find out what music they like, where they love to go for vacation, who's a great snowboarder. And so those are just the human elements of creating voices that feel safe.
I am not a great snowboarder, but I do like to snowboard. But
I'm not a
having those
skier.
spaces where people feel like they can talk about their true selves, be authentic, is so important to creating that sense of community and the sense of inclusion. Kurt?
I'll go back to hiring and agency. I think we all have certain roles within the organization. Some of us are hiring managers, some of us are leadership and sponsor initiatives like this, and some of us might not be hiring, but maybe we're involved in the interview process and things like that. For me, a lot of these things, with the right buy-in at the top, they're actually grassroots initiatives, right? They happen at the individual level. So as far as all of you can be involved in the process in one way or another, it comes down to you actually making those decisions on your own, and fighting for those decisions in different groups and all that stuff. So when it comes down to hiring, if you're the manager, think twice about the team that you have currently and how you could make that a little more broadly diverse, and wait for that extra candidate. No one wants to be overstretched for longer than they have to, but if you're being conscious about it, you can really put yourself through a little extra pain in order to wait on another profile to come through that might help the team. And if you're on an interview committee or a hiring committee, be the one that challenges the status quo, ask the questions, push the envelope a little bit to move that along.
That's great. Yeah, I think asking the tough questions, asking the question of who's not in the room, making sure that there's a diverse slate of candidates as much as possible, all contributes to this long-term goal of really creating that sense of diversity and inclusion in the company. Now, we're going to switch gears a little bit. Is the slide going to change? Okay. I want to reiterate Spencer's keynote and just the devastating gun violence that's happened over the last few weeks, really longer, but really the last few weeks has been really devastating for me personally. I am a mom of a school-age child. I have family members that look like those folks that were killed in Buffalo and friends that live in that Southern California community in the church where folks were also killed. So it's very personal to me. I am very heartened to work at such a committed company like Amplitude. Since Spencer made that initial announcement with our commitment to $10,000, you all have raised an additional $6,600. Wow. So give yourselves a round of applause.
That's awesome.
But I know we can do more. So if you are able and you haven't had a chance to go to the QR code or go to app.overflow.co/AMPL, and please donate what you can to help us stem the tide of gun violence in this country. We really need to do more, and I think this is the group to do it, to help us get it going. So thank you, everyone. Thank you, panelists. I appreciate you. I appreciate you all sticking with us, and have a good evening.